Here we have the design of a neuron. Here it is. This is our cell body. These are the dendrites on the end. There's our green nucleus. The cell membrane is what's highlighted in yellow. The beans are the myelin sheath. The blue wrapped around it is the nodes of Ranvier. This up here is our axon. I made it short because it wouldn't bend to fit the rest of the shape. Anyways, these three right here are the axon terminals where they split off at the end. And the purple on the end of those is the synapse. And then these red dots up here is the neurotransmitters. And down here we have our functions of each one of those. The cell body is also known as the soma, the spherical part of the neuron that contains the nucleus. The cell membrane controls movement of substances in and out of the cells and neurons. The nucleus is the brain or control center of the cell. It stores DNA and proteins. The dendrites receive stimulation in order for the cell to become active. It conducts electrical messages to the neuron cell body for the cell to function. The axon is the nerve fiber that conducts electrical impulses away from the neuron cell body. Primary transmission lines of nervous system and helps make up nerves. The synapse transfers electric activity from one cell to another. This transfer can be nerve to nerve or nerve to muscle. Axon terminals are the structures at the end of an axon that produces neurotransmitters to transmit the nerve impulse across the synapse. The nodes of Ranvier is a periodic gap in insulating myelin sheath of the axon of certain neurons that serves to facilitate the rapid conduction of neuron impulses. The myelin sheath is an insulating layer that forms around the nerves. It's made of protein and fatty substances. It allows electrical impulses to transmit it quickly and efficiently along nerve cells. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals secreted in the gap between neurons of a synapse. Okay, and we come over here and we see that a motor neuron is a nerve cell whose function is to respond to sensory stimulation by producing the required muscular movement. They are located in the spinal cord. We come down here and we see our sensory neuron. We have our dendrites, our Schwann cell, our myelin sheath, our nucleus, the cell body, and the axon terminals. And a sensory neuron is a nerve cell within the nervous system responsible for converting external stimuli from the organism's environment into internal electrical impulses. So we come back up here and we see that we have a chart of sorts, and it's titled "The Eye Sees the Cockroach." Okay, so basically it's what happens after you see something that I guess sort of startles you. So your eye sees the cockroach, and the sensory neurons carry the image to be processed in the occipital lobe in the brain. Your association neurons will carry the message from the sensory neurons that saw the cockroach to your motor cortex. The motor cortex then gives you a reaction to pick it up and throw it in the toilet. The message from the central nervous system moves your arm and hands. The motor neurons move the hand. Your hand carries out the message, which would be to throw it in the toilet. And this says, when the eye sees a cockroach, sensory neurons carry the image to be processed in the occipital lobe of the brain. Association neurons will carry the message to and from the motor cortex. The motor cortex then gives you the reaction to pick it up and throw it in the toilet. And here we have an interneuron. We have the dendrites right here on the ends, the cell body, the nucleus, and the synaptic ending, and the axon. And interneurons create neural circuits which enable communication between sensory neurons and the central nervous system. They're used for reflexes. And for our final part, over here we have our conclusion questions. For number 1, I put the nerve impulses start in dendrites and move down the axon and start in the axon. Nerve impulses speed up myelin sheath, then through nodes of Ranvier speeding up action potential. Then at the axon terminal, the electrical impulse goes through synapse. Then neurotransmitters go back to dendrites. For number 2, I put neurons are similar to other cells because they have they have a nucleus, they have a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and organelles, and carry out functions and processes just like cells. For number 3, I put the more complex the function, the more neurons it takes to carry it out. For example, the brainstem and spinal cord have a large mass of neurons compared to arms and legs. For number 4, I said it helps it process signals and know how to carry out functions from all these senses. Interneuron structures allow them to communicate between dendrites, and axons. For number 5, I put if the myelin sheath is damaged, the speed of impulse transmission slows down and decreases the function of the affected area. And for number 6, I put during the accident, your body is experiencing a lot of reaction from nerves and stimuli. And the last part I put, the person would feel a flight or fight response to either help or to run away. So we come back up here. That's the neuron. This right here is the eye sees the cockroach diagram. This down here is our functions of each part of the neuron. This is our purpose or function of a motor neuron. This is our interneuron. And this is our sensory neuron. That's it.